Have you ever realized that your focus tends to change as you age? The aspects that used to seem crucial, such as having a wide network of friends, might not carry the same weight these days. Here's the reality. After 70, having friends isn't a necessity. It may seem unexpected initially, but upon further examination, you'll understand why prioritizing your own independence and well-being can turn out to be one of the most rewarding choices you can make. In this video, we'll dive into 6 reasons why friendships may not hold the same importance in your later years as they did before. Let's explore how shifting your mindset, embracing personal freedom, and enhancing your health can happen when you let go of friendships that no longer benefit you. This isn't about feeling isolated. It's about embracing life as you see fit, liberated from the burdens of societal expectations and the pressures that often accompany relationships. Stick around until the very end, as you might discover that releasing the burden of keeping up friendships isn't just freeing. It could transform your self-perception and enhance your future in unexpected ways. All right, let's dive in. First and foremost, there's no longer a need to seek validation from others. One of the main reasons you might find friendships less essential after 70 is that you've already experienced that stage of life where seeking social approval was important. Reflect on your earlier days. How frequently did relationships center on a need to showcase your worth, blend in, or maintain a certain image? Whether it was showcasing your skills to peers, nurturing friendships, or ensuring your presence at events, there was always a subtle pressure to be recognized and embraced. However, you've reached a point in your life where all of that is no longer needed. Your impact has already been established in the minds of those around you. They no longer carry the same significance they used to. At this stage in life, you've likely realized that genuine satisfaction isn't derived from the validation of others. It originates from your own inner self. It's time to stop pursuing friendships just for the sake of status, reputation, or social standing. Embrace your true self. You don't require anyone else's approval to validate your identity. A lot of young individuals often find themselves preoccupied with thoughts about their image, questioning if they are liked, admired, or respected by others. However, as you progress into your later years, it becomes clear that none of those things truly determine your value. Your worth is determined by you, and you don't require the validation of others to affirm it. Imagine a person like Harold, a gentleman in his early 70s who dedicated a significant part of his life to ascending the corporate hierarchy. He was constantly in the company of others, whether they were coworkers, casual acquaintances, or those who claimed to be friends. However, many of those connections were formed out of convenience instead of authentic bonds. As soon as he stepped away, those connections dwindled. Initially, he sensed the importance of connecting to maintain those relationships. However, he suddenly came to an important understanding. What's the point of investing in friendships that were only formed through work? Why pursue connections that lacked genuine significance from the start? Rather than clinging to friendships just because they were familiar, Harold redirected his attention to self-reflection. He began dedicating more time to his personal hobbies, revisiting old passions, and, most crucially, he let go of the need to impress anyone else. He discovered that without the weight of keeping up friendships, he genuinely felt more liberated. Goodbye to awkward conversations, no more pressure to socialize, and no more stressing over others' opinions. He was just focused on his own happiness, and for the first time in ages, that felt amazing. And that's what it's all about. Once you stop looking for approval from others, you begin to see how much time and effort you spend on relationships that didn't truly enrich your life. There's no need to seek validation from others any longer. Focus on your own journey and what feels right for you. The only individual you should be accountable to is yourself. Second, tranquility takes precedence over social interactions. As time goes by, a transformation occurs. Finding tranquility begins to seem much more precious than mingling with others. During your earlier days, being in the company of others may have seemed essential. The hustle and bustle, the social interactions, the lively discussions, it all seemed like a vibrant chapter of a fulfilling life. However, as time progresses, you begin to value something much more serene. And not just any quiet, but the kind that lets you genuinely relax, liberated from pointless drama, responsibilities, and social exhaustion. Numerous friendships, even the positive ones, carry a degree of accountability. There are calls to make, invites to respond to, and unvoiced pressures to keep in touch. Friendships aren't inherently negative. At some stage, they can begin to seem like they require more energy than the value they provide. The reality is, there's no need to waste your energy comparing yourself to others. It's important to remember that you're not required to be present simply due to someone else's expectations. You've arrived at a point in your journey where your time is entirely yours, and you have the freedom to choose how to utilize it. Consider Margaret, for instance. At 74, she once enjoyed a vibrant social life with many friends around her. Midday meals, team meetings, festive get-togethers. Her schedule was constantly packed. However, over time, she realized that a lot of these social interactions seemed more exhausting than rewarding. The dialogue began to feel monotonous. The same narratives recycled time and again. Some friends just reach out to vent their frustrations. It felt like some were more focused on chatter rather than engaging in substantial conversations. The thrill of togetherness had gradually faded into a monotonous pattern she found unfulfilling. One day, Margaret chose to take a step back. She let go of the guilt associated with declining invitations. She didn't seem thrilled about it. She released the need to reply to every call or text right away. Instead, she began to welcome the stillness. She discovered that the hours she previously dedicated to nurturing friendships were now free for her to utilize as she wished. She enjoyed longer strolls, immersed herself in the beauty of nature, and finally dove into the books she had been wanting to read for ages. Above all, she discovered that being alone didn't equate to feeling lonely. It was serene, and that's the magic of this moment in life. You can now embrace the freedom to enjoy quieter moments without the pressure of being busy or engaged in endless discussions. To truly feel a sense of connection, it's important to appreciate your own presence. By embracing your own journey, you can prioritize tranquility instead of stress and serenity instead of turmoil. If you've ever felt bad about stepping back from social commitments, keep this in mind. You're not stepping back from life. You're diving into a fresh wave of satisfaction, the type that originates from the heart, the type that stands independently. And that level of tranquility, it's a treasure that only improves over time. If you're still tuned in and appreciating these insights, drop a number 2 in the comments to show me you're with me. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now's the perfect time. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you stay updated with all the latest content. Let's keep pushing ahead. Thirdly, having fewer friendships leads to experiencing fewer letdowns. One of the toughest realizations in life is understanding that not everyone you consider a friend is genuinely supportive of you. Throughout the years, you may have encountered it. Individuals who were once tight-knit are slowly moving apart. Acquaintances who drifted away when you were in need. Many of them ended up being unbalanced connections. As you hit the age of 70, it becomes clear that having fewer friends isn't just about having less to do socially. They also lead to fewer letdowns. Connections, regardless of their depth, carry certain anticipations. They're the need to stay connected, to be present, to provide assistance. What occurs when those anticipations fall short? Letdown. You reach out to someone, but they don't respond. You put in the work, but they don't give back. It seems like you're putting in a lot of effort without getting much back. At this point in your journey, is that really the kind of pressure you want to deal with? Nope, that's not it. Consider William, for instance. At 78, he's experienced the ebb and flow of friendships. Some concluded on their own, while others gradually diminished. He came to understand that he was consistently the one making the effort. There were individuals he had been acquainted with for years, who unexpectedly became too occupied, too preoccupied, or too indifferent to sustain a genuine bond. Initially, it was a sharp sensation. He questioned what mistakes he might have made, why it appeared that some individuals had overlooked him. But then he experienced a breakthrough. It wasn't him who had transformed. He had just decided to no longer accept friendships that didn't go both ways. That's the point. Releasing the notion that a big circle of friends is necessary allows you to free yourself from the letdown's tide to unfulfilled hopes. Say goodbye to the frustration of waiting for someone to check in. It's completely normal to not feel disheartened when a friendship starts to dwindle. Instead, you get to prioritize the most significant individual in your life, yourself. And this doesn't mean you need to cut yourself off from others. It just indicates that you're prioritizing excellence instead of sheer numbers. You focus on nurturing the connections that genuinely count, rather than spreading yourself thin with a lengthy roster of acquaintances. The ones that spark happiness and flow effortlessly. Whether it's family, a lifelong friend, or even a deep connection with yourself. Those are the relationships that truly matter. If you've ever sensed that friendships are causing more stress than happiness, remember that it's perfectly fine to take a step back. Embracing simplicity can lead to a more peaceful and fulfilling experience, steering clear of unnecessary frustration. A small circle can bring just as much joy and satisfaction. It's essential to release those who were never genuinely supportive from the beginning. Fourthly, your time takes on greater value. As you age, it becomes clear that time is your most precious asset. In your earlier days, it might have seemed like there was an abundance of it. Extra moments to enjoy with friends, additional opportunities to nurture social connections, and increased focus on the people who matter in your life. However, once you hit 70, your viewpoint changes. It becomes clear that each hour, each day, and every single moment holds immense value. Once you grasp the real worth of your time, you instinctively start to choose more carefully how to utilize it. Building and maintaining friendships can be incredibly rewarding, but they definitely take time and effort to nurture. There are connections to establish, appointments to arrange, and strategies to follow through on. While certain connections hold value, many are just routines we cling to. We hold on to past connections out of a sense of duty rather than true happiness. At this point in your journey, it's important to reflect on whether this is how you truly want to invest your time. Is this friendship contributing to my joy? Or does it seem like just another item to check off my list? Consider Richard, an individual in his early 80s who used to enjoy a vibrant social life brimming with dinner gatherings, group adventures, and frequent phone conversations. However, as time went on, his feelings began to change. The lengthy discussions that used to bring joy now seem exhausting. The social events that once brought joy began to feel more like chores. One day, while enduring yet another lunch filled with trivial chatter and grievances, he came to a realization. He no longer wanted to waste his time in this manner. He decided to switch things up. He began to break the cycle of automatic agreement and started to decline invitations when he wasn't in the mood to go out. Rather than wasting time on endless chatter or negativity, he focused on activities that genuinely made him happy. Exploring books, taking leisurely strolls, discovering fresh knowledge, and relishing the tranquility of solitude. And the unexpected twist? He felt completely at ease. He truly felt a sense of fulfillment like never before, as he dedicated his time to pursuits that resonated with him, rather than conforming to the expectations of others. That's the secret sauce. By releasing those unneeded connections, you open up a treasure trove of time just for you. It's time to dive into your passions. It's time to embrace life on your own terms. It's essential to prioritize your own joy rather than constantly catering to the expectations of those around you. If you ever find yourself wondering about the value of certain friendships, consider asking yourself, is this the best way to spend my time? At this point in your journey, your time is yours to spend as you choose. You have the freedom to utilize it in any way you desire. If you're still tuned in and appreciating these insights, drop a comment with a number 4 below to show me you're with me. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now's the perfect time. Don't forget to activate the notification bell so you stay updated with all the latest content. Your support enables us to keep producing engaging material that informs and inspires you. Let's keep pushing ahead. At number 5, genuine companionship originates from within oneself. A common myth about aging is that happiness relies on having a big group of friends. Ultimately, The most valuable relationship you can cultivate is the one you create with yourself. By the time you hit 70, you've dedicated years to learning, developing, and transforming. Only you truly understand who you are at your core. And with that self-awareness comes an amazing understanding that you are sufficient. Throughout our lives, we learn to look for connection beyond our own being. We've been led to believe that connecting with others is essential for joy, and that solitude is something to dread. However, there's a distinction between solitude and the feeling of loneliness. Many of the most joyful individuals in their later years are those who have welcomed solitude, viewing it not as loneliness, but as a chance for personal growth, contemplation, and tranquility. Consider Eleanor, for instance. At 76, she once thought that being surrounded by others was essential for her sense of fulfillment. She was constantly organizing events, reaching out to her friends, and keeping her schedule packed with things to do. However, after some time, she began to observe something. Even though she engaged with others frequently, she frequently found herself feeling more exhausted than energized. She came to understand that a lot of her friendships were built on habit rather than true connection. And even more troubling, she realized that she was always modifying her behavior to blend into discussions, to meet social norms, and to prevent the feeling of exclusion. Then one day she just paused. She chose to dedicate time to herself as if she were with a cherished friend, engaging in activities she adored, reflecting on her own thoughts, and relishing her own presence. She enjoyed long walks, relishing the solitude without the urge to reach out to anyone. She chose to visit cafes with a book in hand rather than engage in casual conversation. She dedicated her tranquil evenings to pondering her journey, rather than stressing over keeping friendships just because you feel you have to. To her astonishment, she experienced a sense of lightness, joy, and tranquility that she hadn't felt in years. That's something a lot of folks overlook. Real friendship isn't measured by the number of people in your circle. It's all about your level of self-acceptance. When you cease depending on others for amusement, affirmation, or dialogue, you discover a level of liberation that many individuals never encounter. Say goodbye to external distractions that used to occupy your time. You transform into your own wellspring of happiness, insight, and satisfaction. And the magic of this? When you genuinely appreciate your own presence, you draw in connections that feel natural and easy. Rather than seeking connections from a place of solitude, you discover that the right individuals effortlessly enter your life. Individuals who honor your boundaries, who appreciate your principles, and who contribute tranquility rather than stress. If you've ever been concerned that stepping away from friendships could lead to feelings of loneliness, keep this in mind. The greatest companion you can ever have is already by your side. And when you fully accept that, you'll come to understand that you were never really alone to begin with. Number 6, releasing what no longer serves you paves the way for a more enriching existence. One of the most impactful choices you can make after 70 is to release what no longer serves you. Release the burden of keeping connections that no longer spark happiness. Release the notion that your value is determined by the people around you. Release the notion that solitude equates to loneliness. When you let go of these expectations, you unlock a life that is easier, more liberated, and incredibly rewarding. Numerous individuals cling to friendships simply because it's what they've always done, even when those connections no longer bring any meaningful benefit to their lives. They go to events they find uninteresting, pick up calls out of a sense of duty, and maintain a facade simply because it's the norm they've always followed. But what if you could skip all of that? Imagine if you allowed yourself to release those friendships that felt burdensome and instead concentrated on what genuinely brings you joy. Think about James, a gentleman in his late 70s who used to think that being socially engaged was essential for healthy aging. He put in the work to stay connected with old friends, even when those relationships had turned a bit distant or surface level. He packed his schedule with social events, believing that constant activity equated to true satisfaction. But one day he had an epiphany. He wasn't having a good time. The discussions seemed to go in circles. The meetups seemed like habits. And beneath the surface, he sensed a greater fatigue than a sense of belonging. He decided to take a step forward. He let go of pursuing connections that had lost their significance. Instead, he began focusing on what was genuinely important to him. He dedicated more time to the great outdoors, prioritized his well-being, explored new knowledge, and relished the liberation that accompanied the absence of others' expectations. And in the process, he stumbled upon something truly amazing. He experienced a sense of freedom, joy, and tranquility like never before. That's the essence of releasing. It doesn't imply shutting yourself away from everything around you. It involves making room for what genuinely brings you joy. It signifies understanding that your joy isn't dependent on the number of people in your life, but instead on how closely you align with the life you truly desire to lead. Check out what unfolds when you adopt this perspective. You shift your attention away from the people around you and concentrate on what truly makes you happy. One starts to find joy in the small moments, like greeting a serene morning, diving into a favorite pastime without interruptions, and embracing the tranquility of one's own mind. You come to understand that true satisfaction arises not from keeping friendships out of obligation, but from embracing a lifestyle that resonates with your authentic self and holds significance for you. If you've ever wondered whether you're doing enough to nurture your friendships, take a moment to reflect. Is this really contributing to my happiness, or am I just clinging to it out of routine? Once you allow yourself to release those burdens, you'll discover that life transforms into something simpler, lighter, and more rewarding in ways you never imagined. If you're still tuned in and appreciating these insights, drop a comment with the number 6 below to show me you're with me. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, now's the perfect time. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you stay updated with all the latest content. Your support enables us to keep producing engaging material that informs and inspires you. As we conclude this video, let's take a moment to think about everything we've covered. The notion that companionship isn't essential after reaching 70 isn't about being alone. It's about embracing independence. It's all about releasing those extra burdens, prioritizing tranquility instead of stress, and fully embracing the life you genuinely desire. At this point, you've likely realized that distancing yourself from friendships that aren't beneficial can lead to greater joy, increased time, and a level of fulfillment you never anticipated. What caught your attention the most? Which of these reasons struck a chord with you? Perhaps you've begun to release connections that seem to require more effort than they brought happiness. Perhaps you've realized just how much you appreciate your own presence when you take the time to embrace it. Or perhaps this video opened your eyes to the importance of putting yourself first. We're eager to get your feedback. Drop a comment below and tell us one thing you discovered today and how you intend to apply in your life. We value your opinions, so feel free to express them. Your feedback truly inspires and uplifts us. If you found this video enjoyable and useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with others. Your support enables us to keep producing engaging material that informs and inspires you. We appreciate your viewership and can't wait to have you join us for the next installment.